still looks fired up. The Californian on the windup. Drills it off the top. Jams down the line and crushes a big section. It's the moment we've been waiting for. Tatiana, Weston, Webb, and Lakey Peterson in the final here at the Margaret River Pro, followed by a rematch from 2017. John Florence back in the final with Kolohe and Dino as we're about to crown our champions. Joe Turpel and Martin Potter for the call as we have these two athletes looking for their first win of their career here at the main break of Margaret River. And what a season it's been here at stop number 4, knowing that we'll have 4 different winners at every stop of the season so far. Lakey gets the first wave and doesn't turn it into anything down the line. Just wanted to kick off with a bang. Will kick out. Priority already established with Tatiana, Weston, Webb out the back. They both had pretty challenging semi-final draws, Potts, with the seasoned vets of the tour from Sally Fitzgibbons and Carissa Moore. Thanks for watching Finals Day on Fox. Peterson, Weston, Webb still setting up their opening ride here at the main break. Wind's picking up. Tati digging in deep on her first one. Faded the takeoff, finally getting to the lip on her opening turn. Jamming it vertically and somehow pulling her board off the back and then falling at the bottom of the wave. Almost thought she recovered that move.
Yeah, it looked like she was going to ride out of that one, Joe, but we all know how difficult that end section is. You got 2 different bits of white water colliding, both coming from different directions, and you got to really place that maneuver correctly and make sure you get out of the bottom of it before those sections collide. And unfortunate for Tatiana, just getting caught up just a little bit. I thought she had pulled it off though, but sort of wasted a little bit of time on that first bottom turn, but connecting nicely. And this is the maneuver. Oh, just almost pulling that off there and then just gets swallowed up. But Tatiana, first turn in the pocket. She's been nailing that maneuver this entire event. And I love this turn here. She gets a little bit more drive off the fins, catches that rail just a little bit. And that's what contributed to that wipeout. And she come out of that maneuver cleaner, Joe. She would have ridden straight out and we would have seen a complete ride. But both surfers with small rides to kick things off.
The energy of a final is always very different from any other heat in the contest, knowing that you're in that position to clinch an event title here on the championship tour. We know how long it took for Lakey to finally break the silence out of being winless for so long on the top 17. Last year, just everything turned around, and she had the rivalry with Steph Gilmore. Weston Webb is now into her 7th final of her career, just with 1 win. So she hasn't been the best at closing out those final heats of the contest.
Yeah, you know, they're not easy heats to win, Joe. I mean, you're generally coming up against the who's who, you know, the best in the world, so to speak. And, you know, Tatiana working it out. The more times you get in those finals, the more comfortable you're going to become, and eventually you're going to start winning a few. So you've got to get there before you can actually win it.
Some surfers are sort of the opposite, like you think of a Courtney Conlog or even a Toledo on the men's side. Once they get to the final, all the confidence is there, and they're so good at just closing out their competitors. Kolohe in the position of now another final appearance to maybe clinch that maiden win of his career into his 8th season on tour. But it is John, who's the guy that changed surfing on the main break back in 2017. That one's coming up right after this. First score for Tati, just a 2.33. Lakey had the 0.5 before, but Peterson didn't mind having a comeback against Carissa Moore in their semifinal earlier this morning.
Exactly right. Surfed incredibly well through that heat. Gave up that first wave, which we thought maybe was a mistake, but came back nice and strong and posted some big scores. Talk about big. Have a look at these sets coming through right now, and I think both young ladies are going to wear this one on the head.
You can see a couple of different ideas there. Lakey trying to hold her board, to sink it, to hang on, to pop up quickly. Tati's decided to save her equipment to just get a little bit deeper. Both have been pretty fair ways to get out of the bombs here at the main break this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, everyone's got their own way of doing it, I suppose, and It all depends where that wave lands too. You know, sometimes if it really dumps right in front of you, that's probably the best time to get rid of your board. But if it's dumped and then rolls for a little bit, it's probably hang on to it. You know, you come up a lot quicker with your board, and we saw that happen exactly what Lakey hung onto her board. Tatiana bailed it. Who came up first? Lakey did. So it's all personal preference though.
And both effective. Now the Ocean calming down for a moment. Still scored on their top two 40-minute finals today. Knowing that these are the last two heats of the contest here at stop number 4. Lakey and Tati both really a massive part of the title race last year. Lakey making a couple of more finals, having obviously wins from Karamas to the Gold Coast, losing to Steph Gilmore in Rio and also in Jeffreys Bay. So that's what made the title race so exciting, with all those repeat matchups. Weston Webb featured in so many big moments as well. Finals from Uluwatu, which was the continuation of this event, and also at Bells Beach. We talked about how after a strong world title campaign, you could be mentally exhausted. Just training and preparing for another season on tour. It's great to see them really fire up at stop number 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that, you know, we've got some new surfers back in the mix. Surfers that have had a slow start to the year have now sort of found some rhythm, found some groove, and are right back in the mix. It's going to be, you know, we heard Steph talk about the fact after she had lost with Lakey, she said it's going to be an incredible year. There's going to be a lot more surfers in that world title race than years gone by. So we love it. I want to see Maui come down with 5 or 6 surfers having that opportunity to win. And that would be insane. Oh, it'd
be insane. That's what we always dream of. We want that world title to be decided at the season finale. We've come close even to sudden death surf-offs in the last handful of years with some amazing title campaigners. Tatiana Weston Webb doesn't have priority here, but she's just taking a look. Lakey will commit. Just kicking out down the line for the second time. Lakey still waiting for a good section to really dig into.
Yeah, I thought she was going to absolutely light that wave up, but obviously that wave shutting down and Lakey deciding to kick out. So again, priority, the use of it is a very difficult thing to do out here. It seems like a lot of times surfers will throw that away. I think it's a lot of waves coming through, Joe, so I'm not sure whether that actually really comes into play through the mid part of these heats. Towards the end, though, you've got to have it. You know, make sure you get that priority and control that last 5 minutes or so.
Peterson on her way back out to the lineup, a lineup that's really tested her over her career. There was one year it was absolutely massive at the main break, and she came in immediately thinking about how she could work on surfing in bigger waves. And in having a coach like Mike Parsons, he'll make that pretty easy for you. He's got a lot of spots that he's been taking Lakey to in between events and in the off season. Down in Baja California in Mexico. Snips is always going down there. He has for decades. And he can take Lakey out in some bigger waves, ride bigger boards, and so many great training grounds to really work out equipment that she'll be using here at the main break today.
Well, you've got to get familiar with it, Joe. You know, it's not just riding the wave that you've got to get used to, but dealing with the power, dealing with the wipeouts, getting caught inside by them. I think those are the parts of it that really scare most surfers. You know, I don't think the actual you know, riding the wave is an issue. Once you're up and riding, everything's fine. You know, your ability takes over, but it's getting used to the paddle out and you know, getting picked off by a big set wave, wiping out on that and holding your breath and getting used to the energy of the ocean, I think is part of big wave surfing.
Weston Webb rolls in. Clean bottom turn, setting up the wrap into the pocket. Perfect transition, nails the end section, but Tati can't hang on. We just came off a semifinal that was decided with relatively low scores. Seeing how challenging it is to lay down a big turn. Lakey up. Second move right off the lip, avoiding Tati. And kicking out. And great to see that respect from Lakey. Back in your day, Pot, someone would have got run over right there.
Yeah, absolutely. and then would have asked for an interference on top of it. Hang on a sec, you ran me over and you want an interference? Let's have a look at Tatiana's wave here. This could have been a keeper for her. Nice opening maneuver for Tatiana. Comes off the bottom, squares up nicely, but just doesn't get enough speed coming down the face of the wave. And it is another wipeout. You can see that leash around her front foot as well. That's going to be putting her off just a little bit. Let's see what happens. She came down with the bounce, and right there, that front foot gives way, and she goes over the handlebars. Unfortunately there for Tatiana. I thought she was on her way to her first real score. And then right behind her, Lakey through the lip again. A little bit off balance coming out of that. Second turn a little better, but she had Tatiana in her sights and had to go around her. So both surfers looking a little nervous here at the early stages of this heat, Joe. And then this maneuver right here through the lip, didn't quite get up and over that. A little bit off balance coming out, and then the second turn, you can see her connecting nicely and going around Tatiana, Weston, Webb. Tatiana just right in the way there for a minute, but I don't think it's going to hurt the score too much.
Lakey Peterson turning in a 5.83 as sets are firing through the main break. Seeing that the swell is still picking up heat by heat through those early semifinals. And Dino ready for John Florence coming up next. And we'll have a brand new champion here on the women's side. Lakey and Tati enjoying this final for the first time in their career. Tati's made the semifinals in the past.
Paddle battle.
Lakey digging in deep to try to gain priority for the next exchange. And still paddling hard out in front of Tati. We'll see what the decision is here. Peterson just got the lead with a 5.83. Tati's last fell on her finish at 2.83. Well, as we know, we have a rematch in the men's final. John versus Kolohe, and Dino is with Rosie Hodge.
Our final is set. Kolohe, yourself and Julian, you were 4 wins apiece in the head-to-head matchups. You broke that tie. It's got to feel good, especially on that last exchange.
Yeah, we've had a ton of heats. I didn't know the record, but I knew, like, in the early days of my career, I used to beat him a lot for some reason, and then recently he beat me a bunch, so it makes sense that we were 4-4. And yeah, it was just really slow out there. Like, it seems like the swell is just, I don't know, doing weird stuff, and it's howling wind. It feels like you're at Jaws with like the Maui wind that you see those guys get. So it's tricky for sure, and yeah, I grinded out with 2 5s and just really stoked to be in the final.
And once again, going on hold in that heat. I mean, something that you're used to now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just weird because you're just like sitting right next to your competitor, and it's like halftime, and you're just like sitting there, and we don't have any scores, and like I wasn't looking at him and he wasn't looking at me. It's just kind of like the air was thick for sure. And then also in the back of your mind, like, oh, what if there actually is a shark? That's kind of scary too. So whatever.
Awkward silence in an elevator. But the 2017 rematch of the final coming up against John, what can we expect?
I don't know. You know, I think John's definitely the guy to beat here. He's won this event 2 times before, and he surfs really good when in the wind, just because he's so used to it at home, I think, and he's so strong. So yeah, I don't know. I just want to try to, you know, have some fun and cut loose, and you know, not worry about it, just because John's really hard to beat, and I don't want to hold back and then still lose. So it's kind of a, if you go for it and you make it, then you have a chance to win. But if you go for it and fall, it's kind of the same as holding back. So just want to try to send it.
Kolohe, into your second final of the season. Well done.
Looking forward to the rematch, Rosie. Thank you so much.
Send it. I like it.
Dramatic. Shaka.
That's what you need to do against John, that's for sure. You need to send it. He's been surfing well. Kolohe's got the tools to beat him though, Joe.
It's so cool just to know that he's just going to go out swinging no matter what happens. And that feels good for a surfer. At least know you tried everything you had. It's a final. You don't have to hold back. He's not going to be surfing safe. He's going to have to bring all of his best against John in the next tee. Lakey Peterson still has plenty of time to try to strengthen this lead with Tatiana Weston Webb as we look at her last decision here at the main break.
Yeah, let's have a look. Beautiful water shot there from Lakey. Just comes around that first section, just repositioning. Now she starts to find some speed through this inside bowl, connects with the lip and pulls that one off. So Lakey Peterson looking strong here. 6.4 and a 5.83. Finds herself out in front. And she's starting to get the ball rolling, Joe. A bit of a slow start for both surfers, but Lakey now, her last 2 rides, 5.83, then a 6.45. 6.40 back on track.
And now out the back with Tati holding priority. Lakey Peterson growing up in Santa Barbara, spending a ton of time in San Clemente as well. There's not much surf around her house in the summertime in Santa Barbara, and there's a ton of surf in the summer down in San Clemente. And that's just being like a few hours distance from Santa Barbara to San Clemente. So she's always used to being on the road. And even in the winter months, kind of get used to that in Southern California. You're not just walking out and surfing out front every day. You get used to being a bit of a road warrior. And so she'll comb the entire coast of Southern California and go into Mexico. And she's got a lot of opportunities. And then her second home is at Bells now. That's where her husband's from. And we saw instant success there. Seen her spend more time in the Bells region. Turned in that semifinal, even though she was nursing that sore back into finals day.
It's good to have that as one of the spots that you really are close to and hone your skills on. It's one of the classic events to win. Everyone wants the bell. And Lakey's kind of surfing does suit it, and you know she's trying to work out these other spots too, where she's uncomfortable with. She's starting to look very comfortable.
Lakey with 2 wins last year. Her first win was at the U.S. Open when it changed from a QS event, qualifying series, to a championship tour event. And in the years leading up to last year, she actually forgot she had won that event. She was so switched on and looking forward. She said, I couldn't wait to win my first event. We're like, wait, you already have. She'd already moved on. It was so great to see her just start off the year wearing the Jeep Leaders jersey, which gave her a ton of confidence. All that hard work was paying off. She's makes sense to be a top athlete. Her mom was an Olympic caliber swimmer that still swims today. Peterson was one of those surfers that really enjoys her time in the gym, with fitness being a top priority. I think the fitness topic in surfing is always an interesting one for people from different sports, going, well, that's obvious, isn't it? And I think back in the day, especially your era, people were always training. But sometimes it wasn't popular to really promote how much time you're spending in the locker room. A lot of the top pros would say all they do is surf. And even John Judd said that in the beginning of his career, because I think it was real. He spent 8 hours a day in the water. Going into the deep stats with these two, Tati versus Lakey. Peterson leads 5-3 in their one-on-one heats. And Peterson with the lead now. Tati needs a 9.4 to go straight into first, but plenty of time for 2 new waves.
Yeah, plenty of time, Joe. Just under 20 minutes. It's pretty consistent, but you heard Kolohe talk about the fact that it wasn't that consistent, maybe from where we're sitting, and just feels like there's lots of waves coming through. But then when you're out there in your heat to hunt down the rideable ones, the ones that you're going to get those big scores on, they're few and far between. Seems like the more the medium-sized ones, the second, third wave in the set, seem to have that better line on it. As long as you can find one without that residual white water from the wave before. Lakey on the hunt right now.
And that one's going to roll right underneath. Yeah, we were checking the surf this morning with Barton Lynch as well, and we were looking out to sea, and the topic was, you look out here in the ocean at Margaret River, and it always looks like it's pumping. You see lines everywhere. And so on first glance, you're going, yep, it's on fire. We're going to be on today. And then you actually look at the waves that are the ones you want to be on in a heat, and it's a much different kind of breakdown. But here in the Indian Ocean, you have so many swell lines coming through. The right direction has to line up here, right out in front, with the right kind of wall on the right to really have big scoring potential. Left not really coming into action today. 18:30 still to go. Fun title race with 3 different winners to start. It'll make 4 different winners on the women's side. Caroline Marks picking up the first win of the season. That's when Lakey was defending her event title. Went down with an equal 9th. Courtney's come back to the jersey, back to Bells, which felt like she was still defending her previous bell, because the last time she was there, she won. Was sidelined with the injury last season when Gilmore picked up her 4th bell. And then Karamas, Gilmore taking the win with that dramatic perfect 10 over Sally Fitzgibbons.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year. I love it. I love this whole fact that there's so many different winners, so many surfers stepping up and putting their wins on the board. Caroline Marks starts the year with a yellow jersey on. That was an amazing beginning to the year.
It looks like Tati likes the look of this one. After a long way, connects off the lip line with a backhand snap. Quick little redirect on the shoulder, and she'll just time the whitewater to show the panel she's got control into the wind. Peterson disappears. Wow, from the takeoff.
Talk about committed late drop there from Lakey. Looks like she's all right. That's just getting hung up with that wind, Joe. It's with that spray in your eyes, the sun shining straight in your face. That was a Hail Mary drop there from Lakey, but let's have a look at Tatiana's wave first. Beautiful opening maneuver. Just connecting so smoothly with the lip, and then this one right in the pocket. Beautiful jam. And then finishes with a little bounce off the whitewater. So 3 solid maneuvers from Tatiana. Connecting nicely. I love the way her body position is. She holds that arm up in the air and then pivots off that from the waist up. Gets that upper body rotating first, and then the bottom half almost slingshots her into those maneuvers. And just a bit of a bounce on the whitewater to show the judges that she is in control, and rides out. That's looking like Tatiana's best wave. She needs a 9.40, Joe, but that is a definite comeback wave. And then out the back, we see Lakey just getting hung up in the lip. Super late drop. Committed there from Lakey. I love that.
It was really interesting to note in her superheat performance against Gilmore in the quarterfinals. She had the 9.8, backed it up with that 9+ ride. She said she obviously enjoyed the rides, but she said she also enjoyed being starfished on the reef because she took a couple of beatings in that one. So there's still plenty of size out there. But she's found so much enjoyment in every type of ride you can get in surfing, which is a huge accomplishment for Peterson. I think she's always made sense of the beach breaks on tour, the real high performance venues like at Snapper. She's always famous for airs before she qualified. But this result for herself at Margaret River has to feel incredible. Coming into this event in her first few years on tour, she wasn't the favorite to go all the way to win. Now she got past the favorites, the ones that have won here before, and now with a shot to win. Like Mike Parsons being the great coach he is, he was teaching her that her surfing belongs on this wave. And now she's not just believing it, but she's following it through with huge performances. Up next, it's a rematch from 2017 here at the Margaret River Pro. Kolohe Andino prepares once again for a 2-time world champion and current world #1, John Florence, right after this.
Sagacidade pra viver, lutar, cair, crescer. Sem arriar ou se render, sigo em frente, vou além. Vem dançar, se liga, pega a visão do coração, que a vida não pode parar. Entra na roda e ginga, ginga. Se entrou na roda, vai ter que jogar. Pra se manter de pé, cê vai ter que dançar. Na roda e ginga, ginga. Fé na sua mão, ginga. Na roda e ginga.
Vamos ginga, sem vulgariza, pra sua camisa, sem economiza.
Entra na roda e ginga, ginga. Fé na sua mão, ginga. Na roda e ginga.
The Oi Rio Pro starts June 20th for stop number 5 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. Stephanie Gilmore and Felipe Toledo will go into that event as the defending champions and looking to keep that title race nice and hot. Coming back to the main break, Peterson stepping off, as Tati did just go up and down on the left as she just looked at it and kicked out. So situation remaining the same. Peterson out front, 6'4" and a 5'8'3", and Tati needing a 5'8'3" to take the lead. Incredibly close with these two, still with 12 minutes until we crown a champion. During that preview to the event in Rio, Potts was just dancing in his chair, looking forward to that event at Saquarema. Lakey and Tati have surfed really well down there. Tati will have a lot of support representing Brazil. It's really cool to see Tatiana, Weston, Webb on tour representing Brazil in the top 17, along with Silvana Lima, who's going to get a lot of support down there. Remember when Medina became the first Brazilian world champ back in 2014 for the men. Silvana came close in the early years of her career, finishing 2 times runner-up in the world. And over the years, we've been wondering why we haven't seen more and more surfers on the women's side qualify. For a bit there was just a lack of events that were locally in the area in Brazil to really create a platform to get onto the top 17. Yep. Hopefully that changes in the future. I know guys like Wiggly Dantes start putting on his own events for the women as well.
No, it's changing for sure. I mean, there's so many talented surfers over in Brazil, and just a matter of time before we have multiple Brazilians on tour to help Silvana and Tatiana along. But set approaching. Have a look at this.
Solid one out the back, really spiking. Tati and Lakey forced to duck under a lot of water. This swell is still on the rise, Strider. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it's 100% still coming. When these sets come through, you can see it's a rising swell. So we've been talking about that second wave being the good wave on these sets, but actually it's just the wave that comes inside of that, because the second wave of the set is actually bigger with the rising swell. So it may be the third and fourth wave that has that water kind of cleaned up on the inside. When those sets come, well, they stack up pretty nice, and it's hard to be in position because it takes a while for them to come, you guys. So it's like, you know, you drift off the peak a bit, you're worried about your opponent, next thing you know, you get one on the head.
Strider, what about the quality of those sets? Would these surfers really want to capitalize with a big number on the biggest waves, or are they still looking for the ones in between?
I think if you were there, you'd go. There's no way you can't take a good-looking wave, and you can do some really great turns out on that open face and get back into the power pocket. But I do think that the highest scoring waves will be the ones that are kind of moving inside and have that clean water. This wind has picked up. It's come more out of the north, so the surface is really chopped up. And when you get those big sets, you're going to have to deal with all that, and it's really hard to get really high-performance surfing out of your surfboard when the surface of the water is like that.
Thank you, Strider. So a lot is changing on the fly here on finals day with bigger sets, more wind, more of a challenge to really get those high numbers. To keep your railing gauge is going to be the challenge in these last 2 heats of the contest.
Yeah, unless your name's John Florence. He seems to deal with that just fine, right? And you even heard Kolohe talk about it. You know, he seems to excel when it gets windier and lumpy and bumpy. He's just so used to it, and he looks well and truly at home. This heat, though, super close. Tatiana fires one back with a 6.40, so both surfers holding at 6.4, and Tatiana needing a 5.83 to jump up into that #1 spot.
Lakey's been getting the win off Tati in their 2 previous matchups. We're talking about Rio coming up next. They had a classic semifinal battle there where Lakey went on to win and got to face off with Gilmore in the final. Lakey also got Tati on the Gold Coast a year before that, so it's been a while since they've been able to get a rematch here. And what about a final heat together? 8:10 on the clock. Tati with priority, still needing a 5.83. Late takeoff. Somehow controls it. Board chattering off the bottom. She'll lay down a backhand carve. Steady off the bottom, attacking hard on the lip line. And can't hang on. She would have been guaranteed the score if she could have came off of the rooftop there with a completion. 7:45 to go.
Bottom turn straight into it. And what happened here, it's almost like she pulled the board back under her feet, but her momentum of her body was still going down the line, and I kind of contributed to that wipeout. But I love the takeoff. I love the commitment. She needs to do something big, and she's not scared to do that. More sets approaching the lineup. Let's see if Lakey can sort of identify that that's going to happen and get herself out far enough to catch one. I want to see one of these surfers ride the big set waves. You heard Strider talk about they do have scoring potential. They'll be a little trickier to ride, a lot more water in them. They move at a different speed, and your adrenaline's pumping as well. So this is the exciting part about riding waves of consequence and these big open ocean swells. Lakey having a look at this first one though, Joe, decides not to go, and I think she might be out of position yet again.
So much water moving out the back, so much power in the Indian Ocean. Diving deep out there is Lakey. Tati will get a little bit cleaner space over by the shoulder to punch through. Her last wave at 2.77 without the finishing move. So still needs the 5.83, 6:30 to go.
I like the fact that Lakey's stuck diving those big waves, Joe. That's a sign of that she's becoming more and more comfortable with it. You know, you kind of tend to find the people that bail their board. It's sort of that sketchy moment of doubt of what do I do? Do I push under? Do I throw my board? So they bail out. So they're in two minds. Lakey's super confident, just duck diving through those big waves.
Final was the same against Dantino.
One of the most popular surfers in the world, preparing for the final. To look for his third win at this wave. One as a CT, he's had one as a QS. He's always loved coming to the West. A lot of his video parts come from free surfs up and down this coast. That one starting in 5 minutes. Lakey up now. Clean carve off the top. The California winds up, hits that oncoming section and stays on her feet. Tati's turn. Holding that bottom turn. Now attacking the lip line, but she can't hang on. You can tell Tati's really going for it on her last two attempts. Mendes trying to stay calm.
I'm trying to work out what's happening with that backside turn with Tatiana. It's almost like there's this weird lump on the wave where she's not driving off those fins. She's getting a bit of sort of release almost, and it's really throwing Tatiana off balance. On the flip side of the coin, Lakey looking very, very comfortable out there, Joe. I think she's on her way to maybe bettering that 5.83. Let's have a look at her wave here. She scratches in. Bottom turn, beautiful. Connects nicely with that first maneuver. You can see her just keeping that board rail to rail, keeping those fins nice and free, and finishes strong. Nice deep bottom turn. And then there's that open face carve where she just opens the shoulders, brings that board all the way back around, and then goes for this end maneuver. Maybe not as up into the lip as she would have liked, but rides out of that nonetheless. And I dare say she's going to better her situation. You can see how lumpy and bumpy that was for Tatiana, and right there, she kind of, I don't know whether she was expecting a bit of drift out of the fins. See the upper body starts to pivot now. Hopefully that board follows. She gets a little bit of separation from the face of the wave, and that's all she rode, that momentum that her body was carrying down the line. The board almost just stopped dead, and over the handlebar she goes.
Rolling in now is Peterson. Setting that deep bottom turn, attacking the lip line. She'll get hung up and sent over the falls. And coming off the effort where she was able to get two of the biggest turns of the season on the 9.8. You can see the challenge is clear just to attack the lip line. Peterson still out front, 3:15 to go. Both surfers want to join the list of champions at Margaret River. What happened here?
Well, I think she just snapped it and kind of got hung up at the top. Needed to drive off that first maneuver.
Weston Webb up and out.
In and out. And the way before the last one for Lakey Peterson, Joe, is 6.93 to back up that 6.40. So all of a sudden, Tatiana now needing a 6.94. That requirement pushed out. It was a 5.83 that was required now. 6.94.
Both these surfers look solid from the very first seeding round, getting solid wins to skip the elimination round and go right into the round of 16, where they continued to put on incredible performances. Lakey had the clash with Nikki Van Dyke into the dark, where she even recovered from a priority mistake, missed the wave, and then kept moving to line up a left to turn the heat.
Yeah, but she had to surf that left, Joe, and it was amazing the stuff she did on that thing.
I agree, Potts. That left was insane.
Yeah, I mean, some big backside hooks right in the pocket. It's one thing catching him, and it's another thing actually making a score out of it.
Minute 55 to go in the final. Tati out the back with priority. Needs a 6.94. Her best is 6.4. So she knows she's right there. She knows what the score will feel like. Chooses this way. Deep bottom turn, clean carve onto the shoulder. Wraps it back with a rebound. Trying to attack the lip. She'll carve through and still looking for a little bit of space to work with. And Tati will just redirect on the inside. A minute 24. It might just come down to that wave to try to turn this heat, turn the final, needing a 6.94 Potts. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm not feeling it, Joe, unfortunately for Tatiana. Again, her leash was wrapped around her front foot, which has got to feel a little bit uncomfortable. She surfed that wave as good as she could. It wasn't a bigger set wave. It was one of the smaller ones, but should she have waited? Hard thing to say. I mean, there's still 50-odd seconds to go and bigger sets approaching, so did she pull the trigger a little bit too soon? But you just never know, do you? Am I going to get another opportunity? If there's a wave in front of you, catch it and ride it as good as you can. That's exactly what she did, but I don't think it's going to be enough, Joe.
Numbers already coming through for Tatiana. It is a 4-point ride and down to 35 seconds. You're starting to feel the emotion for Lakey Peterson sitting out the back, who might not have gotten the message yet. She's still focused on these sets pouring throughout the back. 22 seconds to go. Lakey's husband, Thomas, right there congratulating Lakey's coach, Mike Parsons, on what an incredible performance. She wants to know the update. She's about to hear that Tati got a 4 and was still left chasing a 6.94 as we're into the countdown. Lakey Peterson controls an amazing final in challenging conditions. Was the high-scored surfer in the quarterfinals with a 9-8 against Stephanie Gilmore, and takes out the win at the Margaret River Pro for the first time in her career.
Amazing stuff there from Lakey. I think the confidence she needed getting past the 7-time world champion, backing up that performance here today. To come off a heat with a couple of 9-point rides, Joe, not an easy thing to do. Lakey she dug deep and came out with flying colors, and she is the champion back in that world title race.
What a feeling for Lakey Peterson, coming off a rough back end of the year when the world title weight of pressure was on her shoulders. Had a tough heat in Honolulu, had a really tough heat in France. So you think about this win was a long time coming for Lakey Peterson. 4 different winners at all 4 stops of the season for the women, and Lakey Peterson takes out Tatiana Weston Webb here at the Margaret River Pro. We're going to take a quick break. One more final here at this amazing event in the West. John Florence takes on Kolohe Andino in the final right after this.
Welcome back to the Margaret River Pro. We've got the champion here, Lakey Peterson, doing the best surfing of the event. Well, you must be feeling really good. That was a tough one to win.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Mike always said I'd win this event one day. I always used to be so scared to come here, and I don't know, I just feel like this wave's been my Achilles heel for so long, and it's just, yeah, that one feels so good, and it was so tricky in the final. I was getting smoked by those sets, and Tati's been surfing really well, so it didn't come easy, but so stoked.
Well, congratulations on a huge win. You know, for you coming through this and getting your win, it's got to feel good to start making that march up the leaderboard.
Totally. I've had like my 2 throwaway events pretty much right off the bat this year at 2 venues that I really enjoyed and thought I would do well at. So it's so nice to get a win here, and I got the 3rd at Bell's, so I feel like I'm right back in it now. And it's such a long year though, like so much can happen at every event. So just gonna keep enjoying myself and having fun, and yeah, stoked to be back in Margaret River. Thanks WSL for bringing us back here. Thanks to Western Australia for having us. It's a beautiful place, and yeah, I'm pumped.
All right, well, congratulations. Back to you guys. Loving this. Congratulations, Lakey Peterson.
Thanks, Carter.
Lakey Peterson takes a big win here at Margaret River. What an accomplishment for her in her career, having so many round 2 losses. All the heartbreaking performances in the past are long gone. And now she's with a list of champions that she should be proud of. Lakey Peterson, so happy to get another event win, her 4th event win of her career. And she will celebrate out the back, and she deserves it. Even to close out the heat in Margaret River fashion, she just had 10-foot sets, unloading on her head, but she enjoys that feeling now. Unbelievable performance and a great event champion. Now let's prepare for the last seat of the contest. Kolohan Dino takes on John Florence.
Do you like that? Well, if so, subscribe over there and then watch more videos over there. And then tell us your favorite videos down there. It's a 3-step process. Do them all now.